A very warm evening to everyone present here, and welcome back to Cricket Analysis by CNE. Today marks the first day of the second test match between England and India, and I have some very hot-headed Indian fans in front of me who are wearing Indian jerseys. Well, I am being an England fan, have won a red jersey, but so we have very color coded for the day. We are very clear on who we are supporting, but we have a lot of things to talk about. And before we go on to what happened during the day, we'll talk about the playing 11s. We're going to talk about the sessions. We're going to talk about players. So a lot to talk about today. So let's get on with it. This is day one review, and before we get on to the playing field and what happened at Edgbaston today, we're going to talk about the playing 11s, of course. And the English 11 is quite simple, nothing to talk about much. That unchanged, and they want to go with the winning combination. And they have bowled fairly well today on a flattish track, and quite simple to talk about. It's not a lot of thought process into it. But on the other hand, we have the Indian 11. But now you'll be wondering, why have I written Proneet's 11 for India? Well, it's because I have bought yesterday's 11 for India into today because he has the most accurate prediction. Pardon. It was so accurate that if you talk about the Indian 11, you'd barely notice any difference, except for Karun Nair coming in instead of Sai Sudarshan and Prasidh Krishna still staying. So my first question, of course, is with Proneet Ghatak. What is the mind like? How did you make this mastermind of an 11, and how did you predict it so well? And you must be quite happy that you got this 11.
First of all, to the audience, I want to clear that I am not in for chopping and changing and all. Before you declare me that I am ready to do all the things that Gambhir is doing, but also being such a big admirer of Gautam Gambhir, I know what he will do, what changes he will make. So yes, to the audience, from the first test, I was wanting this 11 also with Karun at number 3 instead of Sai Sudarshan. But as the management decided to play Sai Sudarshan at number 3, so I thought it was start of his career. So let him bat for 2-3 matches. If he does not perform at all, then replace him with Karun Nair. But in this test match, I always wanted NK Reddy. And Washington Sundar was a tactical change. I explained it. On the other hand, Prasidh Krishna coming in was pretty much expected. Arshdeep Singh had very less chances of playing. Bumrah not playing also was decided before the match. But why I went with this 11? Because I wanted this 11 from the start. Simple. That is it. I am not in for chopping and changing. Irrespective of the result of this test match, this lineup needs to be back. And the changes, except for tactical changes, nothing should be made in the future. That's it.
Proneet's already in defense mode as Vedant is ready to completely growl on Proneet here as he's quite hot-headed. Yes, Vedant is part of the meeting as well. He has not spoken yet, but I bet he has a lot of words to say. So we're going to talk about the Indian 11, and I would like Vedant to talk about it a lot. I feel like he has a lot to say with this 11.
I don't have anything to tell Proneet, but with the Indian management, I just don't have words. I was asking Agni before and that am I allowed to swear or not? He told me no, so I'm not going to do that. But with respect to what the Indian management has done, I think swearing is insufficient, will prove to be insufficient. I have a very simple question. If you are handing somebody the debut and wanting him to play for a long run, why drop him after the first game? Think about the mental side of things. It is I can't swear, so I don't know which word to use, but this is unacceptable to its limit, next level. How can you drop Sai Sudarshan after and he scored a 30? He scored a 30. Then you're getting Sundar is fine. That if you had to play NK Reddy, play him from the first game.
Exactly.
Why,
I agree with
why
you.
have you got him in the second game? And then why play Shardul Thakur? And Shardul Thakur has done well in the past. He has done very well. You can't. I mean, what are the players expected to do? What are the players expected to do? You cannot expect somebody to score 100 every game. It is not acceptable. You have to give them game. Then today we see this 11 heaven's sake, what will happen in the next match? It is. I have no words. It is a mismanagement to its next level. Shit show from the management. That is what I want to say.
I agree with you, Vedant. I completely agree with you. I completely agree. This 11 should have been from there from in the first match, but now there are three changes. God knows in the next match they will back this 11 or not. This is the best 11 they can get. But still,
Look
I think in the next match again
from
something else will happen.
from the past experience, I think we already know the answer. But let's move ahead.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah. Yep, quite a lot to say about the playing 11, guys. I was expected to hear some chin music from Vedant and Proneet both. Vedant did ask me beforehand if he's allowed to swear, but we like to keep it kid friendly and everyone to watch and have a good dinner with it. So swearing is not the ideal thing here, but some questionable decisions, of course, by the Indian management to get three changes in. Proneet actually predicted it quite well. I didn't expect any change at all, but
Proneet
well,
is predicted. That was Proneet's wishful 11. It was not a prediction. It
oh,
was wishful
what's
11.
yeah,
What I mean, look at it. Okay, fine. Sundar is, but I feel very sad for Sai Sudarshan. It happened to take that particle in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. You pick him for one game, then you drop him for no fault of his. How can you judge one player's ability in one game? You can't. Even with Shardul Thakur, he has performed well for India versus England, and he's done well in the games, pre-games. Then why drop him and get NK ready? I mean, it makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely no sense.
yep. There's some questions to answer for the Indian management yet again because some questions are definitely raised, especially why NK Reddy has been in the 11. I have chosen NK Reddy to play in the first Test match as well,
No,
but if he
one that
hasn't
if you
played,
want to play
play
NK Reddy, play him from the first game. Don't give
exactly my
the
point.
second
Exactly
game.
my point, Vedant.
Agreed.
Exactly
Completely,
my point with that.
100%.
As I said, I wanted him in the first test, but if you have not brought him in the first test match itself, I have said that I would want Shardul Thakur to have another test match to prove himself, and he has been quite good in English conditions. I have no doubt about it, and he has 350s. It's a crazy record, and dropping him for another game, I feel like it's quite harsh on him. And also, you have mentioned about Sai Sudarshan as well. He has just debuted, and after scoring a good
Grooming
30.
the young generation is needed a lot. That has been a
Yeah.
problem with this management.
And talking about Sai Sudarshan as well, he has scored a good 30. The 30 that I watched in the first test match, he has played it quite well. It was unfortunate to get out because it was a soft dismissal, but the management decided to not back him and get Karun at number 3 because he has been more successful there.
Also,
So
Agni, look at the reason why Sundar was brought in. Gill at the toss said that Sundar was brought in to stop the flow of runs in the fourth innings. The
hmm,
aim here is to pick 20 wickets, not stop flow of runs. You pick wickets, flow of runs will automatically stop itself. And you are bringing a bowler to stop the flow of runs. I mean, it's not a T20 game; it's a test match.
I had a
yeah, but
question to you, Vedant. I had a question to you. I was thinking while this match was going on, I was thinking that bringing in Sundar was just to strengthen the batting and bowling like 50-50 from both sides. While if you bring a specialist bowler, that will help you to take two wickets, would have been better to bring in somebody like a Kuldeep Yadav or a Arshdeep Singh.
No, Arshdeep Singh, no, because Prasidh Krishna has played. But wait, look, if look, what I'm talking about was spoken at the at the toss. At the toss said, at the toss, Gill said Sundar will help us even stop the flow of runs. I mean, I'm just highlighting the point, the mindset of the management. The management is not bringing in a player to get wickets. The management is bringing a player to stop the flow of runs. We are
to
playing test
contradict your
cricket
point,
here.
Vedant, to contradict your point, Vedant, I feel like Gill in the conference that happened before the match, he said that he wants 20 wickets, and Proneet also posted a story about it that it was a good captaincy decision for
Agni,
the good captaincy by
Agni,
Shubman Gill for doing
we
so. But
Agni.
mhm,
I'll just cut you off. Indian management says that we want to manage Bumrah's workload. Yes, yet in the last 1 year or more, he has bowled the most number of overs in Test cricket. So what they are
yeah,
saying, they are clearly not doing. That is my point. You can say a lot of
Well,
things,
they are
but you're
managing
not
Bumrah's.
showing in the field.
I think
Well,
the workload issue has arisen after Bumrah had that injury scare after bowling some God knows how many overs in the Border Gavaskar Trophy just because other bowlers were not performing. It was forced.
mhm.
It was a forced decision to the management. They never meant to manage Bumrah's workload. They never
But
intended to
then don't
strengthen the
say we
bowling
are
lineup.
trying to, then don't say we are trying to do it. My point is that what you are saying, do that. If you are saying workload, because this has been a rhetoric for the past 1 year, that workload management is our topmost priority, workload management is our topmost priority, yet he's bowling the most number of overs. So then what you're saying
Yes.
and what you're doing, there is a 180-degree opposite. No, that is what my point is.
Well, we hope that Washington Sundar also doesn't follow the main guideline and also takes a lot of wickets. That's what our hope is as well.
Look,
We'll see that later on into the test
I
match.
wanted Sundar because I feel that he's a wicket, he has a wicket taking ability and he can pick up the wickets. But I'm just trying to point out the mindset of the management. The management is not looking at him somebody who will pick wickets, but it is the management is looking at him to stop the flow of runs. I
Maybe
mean,
that also contradicts it. Who knows? Maybe that will go against the run of flow as well. So
I
who knows?
hope so. I
It's
genuinely hope so. It
uh,
goes against it.
Yep. Good bowling lineup, I feel like, because it's three pacers with two spinners and with N.K. Reddy as the fourth pacer involved, which Proneet had mentioned in the first test preview as well. If you have not checked it out, please check it out. We'll head on to what happened in the day. We had a lot of discussion about the playing 11s and the management's decision on backing, but of getting this 11, to be honest. So we'll talk about what the day happened because it's about day one and what happened in the day one. It's pretty similar to what happened at Headingley as well. India batted really well today, with some patches of good England bowling in session one and in session two. That's why you see the wicket columns being 2 and 2 in session one and session three. But India pulled out to have 50-run partnerships and prove get a good rapport between them. I feel like what they have improved day from the Headingley Test match is that they had big partnerships, but they had big partnerships with almost everyone except for KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant, who and of course Nitish Kumar Reddy. It was a good rapport between the batsmen, and they constantly had 50-run partnerships. So that was a good. I feel like that was a plus point for them. Heading on to what happened in the first session, at least England bowled very well. I feel like in a flat wicket like this, when the wicket is not doing a lot, even though there was a lot of nip in the first session, I feel like England bowled in disciplined lines, and Chris Wokes, has done exceptionally well. Proneet Ghatak, I have a question for you. Chris Wokes has been the spearhead for the English attack, and seeing him bowl like this, do you feel like the English bowling lineup is even more dangerous now?
Yes, 100%. After having a disappointing first day in Headingley, the first day at Edgbaston is completely different for Chris Wokes. I think at the end of the day, Chris Wokes should have had at least 4 to 5 wickets in his column because his bowling was so good. We saw how he disturbed KL Rahul and got his wicket. Then he was attacking Yashasvi Jaiswal. I will come to Yashasvi Jaiswal's problems or issues he's having at some places. I will come to that later. But then he was troubling Yashasvi Jaiswal. Later, Karun Nair at the start of his innings, he was bowling at perfect lengths, the lengths which disturbs the batsman, and the line he was continuously maintaining the line. That is something really good. And the movement from the wicket, the ball nipping in from an angle, that was really helping Chris Wokes. And his from over the wicket, his bowling action really supported that. So and as you predicted in the preview about the Edgbaston wicket on the first day, it really helped the Seamers. So that is what
Yep.
happened. Also some help from Bryden Cars. The Bryden Cars bowling lines were absolutely perfect. Just like in the first test, he was having a good day. And other pieces also help. Ben Stokes also help. We will come to that later. So yes, overall, that was the discipline that helped England earn their wickets and disturbed India as well.
Yep, good point, Proneet. England started up really well and had bowled really good lines. India didn't have a very solid start. They had a very questionable start at first, but we head on to how India played after the wickets fell. And I would also like to ask Vedant that Chris Wokes bowled really well, but do you feel like they missed a trick of holding the pressure with Josh Tongue not bowling as well? 6 runs per over he went for.
Look, I mean, a player can have an off day. So yes, but I think in the first hour or so, there was a lot of help for the bowlers with the new ball. And then that help with the ball when the ball became older, the help sort of reduced. So that then when Jaiswal already who had played out the first hour really well, then he could attack more. So that is why we saw a few more strokes, which is why the run rate for Josh Tongue was more. But also, Agni, one thing that I feel here that you have put the first session for India, but I think it was a shared session because 2 wickets were also taken in the first session. So I think that should have been put as a shared session. I mean, it was England bowled really well, so it should not have completely been India's, in my opinion.
2 points, Vedant. Very fair point. A lot of people have been criticizing me about my questionable session discussions and all of my points. I'd say why I put India's session at first. As you said, England bowled really well and they started off really well with the new ball and there was a lot of help with the wickets. But 2 points. One, India weathered the storm with the cost of course, KL Rahul's wicket and Karun Nair's wicket. But they weathered the storm. They didn't let too many wickets go off. And they went on a fair clip. They went on around 4 runs per over and there were 24 overs bowled in the first session. That means that it was not like that the England bowlers were bowling that well after the first hour. And they completely dominated the second hour, which I give the slight advantage to India. That was my reasoning. So that was my point for giving India the session. But heading on to talking about the second session, and Jaiswal missed 100 and he got out to one of the most dormant looking deliveries of the whole day, I feel like, where it was a nothing sort of delivery and Jaiswal went hard and went to slash at it but delivered a faint edge. Proneet, do you feel like Jaiswal could have been more mature about it, or do you feel like it was a fair shot to play? It was just a bad miss at the end of the day.
Yes, 100%. Jaiswal being set at 87 could have been more mature about this. But also, I have been noticing this from the first test itself that Jaiswal has this knack of cutting the short balls even if he get a little bit of width. So Jaiswal does not actually care about the result of the cut shot. He always goes for the shot. That is very rarely happened that he never attempted for a never attempted for a cut shot on a short ball with a little bit of width. So we have seen in the first test he has missed a lot of balls cutting and barely passing the edge. Even in this test match, in the first innings, this has happened. We saw many times he missed and the ball going past the edge. I think Jaiswal needs to control this. Also, it can become a problem. Like Kohli had got a problem that in the first series in England in 2014, Kohli's outside edge problem got revealed by James Anderson. I don't want that happening to Jaiswal with a cut shot. So I don't think so. That is much of a worry right now. But yes, sure, he will improve that, and hoping for the best in the next innings for Jaiswal.
But to cut you off, Proneet, I feel like Jaiswal, the cut shot, I feel like he's very good at it. And also Kohli was a very good player of the cover drive. I feel like the square cut shot, I like to play the square cut shot a lot. I feel like square cut shot has a bit less risk involved in a comparison to a cover drive, which can be a bit expansive and requires a lot of technique. I feel like the cut shot, the only risk that is involved here mostly is about bringing it in the air and get caught at point. Like it has that kind of problem. If suppose there is a lot of bounce, you can get a top edge or you can get an aerial shot that will go straight to point's throat. So that can be a problem. But other than that, I feel like it isn't a big problem. I feel like Jaiswal is a very good stroke player and I feel like he should play his national game for now to start with, especially with the short wide deliveries that needs to be put away. So I feel like he missed out a lot. I feel like that delivery skidded a bit low. So he was a bit unlucky in it, but it could pose a lot of problems for him in the future. Yes, if he can't connect it at all. But I feel like he's a good player for now. So that's what I feel the analysis of Jaiswal was. But great points, Tony. We'll head on to England posing some questions. Before that, I feel like I want to talk about England. I'll talk about how India played after the 2 wickets that had fallen. India played very well. I feel like when Gill came and Karun Nair came, I feel like that weathered the storm a bit. Where in the afternoon session the ball was dormant and they played level-headed cricket, especially Shubman Gill. We'll talk about Shubman Gill because he played a different style of innings today compared to what he usually plays. And yes, they played quite well. But then came some questions from England where that it was hard to answer, and we can see Nitish Kumar Reddy's wicket where he erred a judgment where the ball nipped in quite suddenly, and Karun Nair's wicket also was involved there where the ball bounced suddenly as well. So, Vedant, I have a question for you there. Is it sight of an early demon in pitch that there could be some nip around and short bounce in the second day compared to the first day, or will it be fat as history suggests?
Look, I think with England tracks, conditions on a particular day also depend a lot on the weather. So I would not like to go on to how the pitch will play on day 4 or day 5. It depends on the weather more. But
I'm talking about tomorrow. How it could
but
have
I think
played. It can play a big
no, it
factor.
is expected to get flatter. I think it will get flatter. And with time, I think the English batsman will have it easier to bat on. And also on day one, it was expected that there will be something in it for the Pacers, which we saw. But I'd also like to add that the Indian batters batted really well, especially Karun Nair and Jaiswal, and then Shubman Gill, and then in the later part, Jadeja. They came together and applied themselves really well, and I'm hoping that tomorrow there is no lower order collapse.
Yeah, and how the technique of how Karuna played, I feel like he played with soft hands and he looked very lovely at the until the point where he was quite shocked with the short ball and lost his wicket there. And also we can talk about sublime cover drives. I feel like Karuna filled in for that position today, where KL Rahul was absent today. So a lot of good shots played by Karuna, but he fell unfortunately quite. He feel like if you feel like he could have converted it to a 50 at least, or could have more because he was in excellent touch and he was reading the wicket quite well. But unfortunately, he couldn't. But then
I
came
think
Nitish
Agni,
Kumar. Hmm.
Agni, I think the problem that Karunar faced was that I noticed this. I just want to say that now that Karun Nair was at the start getting good balls to hit for force. The cover
Absolutely.
drives, the straight drives that he hit, the flicks that he hit. He was getting good balls, full length balls. But after some point, when he hit some 5, 6 boundaries, when he reached 24, 25, from that point of time, if you see, he was on 24 of 25 balls. After that, he was dismissed at 31 of 59 balls. So that 6 runs that he scored of the next 24, 25 balls, that happened because England changed their plans with Vokes and Cars coming in for another spell. In between, there was Josh Tongue bowling a spell and Ben Stokes. So Bryden Cars and Chris Vokes came in for a spell and they bowled him a bit back of length. That was troubling him. Even in his first 5, 6 balls that Vokes bowled to him, the back of length ones was saved by the umpire's call, the LBW. So I think that length disturbed him a lot. Otherwise, the front foot lengths were of course not a problem for him, but that slight back of length troubled him, and sometimes the ball nipping in. We saw many
Mhm.
players leaving the ball and the ball just passing slightly side the wicket. So this has been happening. Similar happened to Nitish Reddy's dismissal. The ball nipped back in, which Nitish Reddy did not expect. Vedant predicted in the preview that the bowler Pacers will get the purchase. So that is exactly what happened. The wicket of Karun Nair and Nitish Reddy was a result of that only.
Yep. And that meant that England had posted some questions that could have triggered a collapse. But then came the anchor of the entire innings, and I was quite shocked by how Gill played. But that word gave him another 100. Do you feel, Vedant, that Gill as a captain is much more confident as a player and is much more clear of his plans, or do you feel like it's just positions for now?
No,
You
I
feel
think
like
it's
number
very
four is the
early to
perfect
say. It's
positions?
very early to say, especially with Test cricket. It is just we are just into the second game. So maybe when he plays two or three series, then we'll know for sure whether captaincy is helping him in his batting or not. That is for him to answer. For some people, for example, Virat Kohli, with that added responsibility, we see that aggression and we see that showing off in his batting, and he is batted better as a captain. But with some players like Sachin Tendulkar, he was better off not being the captain and playing. So that is a personal thing, a personal question which he has to answer. From the outside, it is very difficult to comment.
But talk about Gill's innings right now.
No, the
He played a bit
innings was
different.
fabulous. Nothing to take away from the innings.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about how he played the innings, how he went about the innings, because it's a bit different from how he usually goes about it. He is usually quite aggressive at the start, but now he took a lot of balls to get around the mark, and he completely anchored his way to his 100. And it didn't look like Gill would get out anytime soon. So
Because
I have a
it was
question for both of you.
it was because Vokes and Cars, the way they were bowling, there wasn't much to put away. When Josh Tongue and Ben Stokes were bowling, there were some, as Proneet mentioned, there were some loose deliveries, full deliveries, a bit deliveries down the leg side, which were there to put away. But when they came in and with after that Bashir, then there were few deliveries to put away. That is why today we even saw a subdued Rishabh Pant. So
Yeah.
that is why that is because of England's bowling, and of course Gill has showed a lot of patience and batted really well.
But talking about Rishabh Pant, you can't really predict what he'll play. Subdued innings to good deliveries or bad deliveries. You see sometimes he's leaving quite a lot of deliveries way outside of the off stump. So you can't really predict how Pant will play. But Gill really much played maturely today. I feel like he completely batted his way and he played to the merit of the ball. And I feel like the strategies he had against Vokes, Cars, Josh Tongue, I feel like they were quite definite, because at one point of time he was coming out of the crease way out, he was coming way outside the crease, I think at least a foot and a half. But for suppose Vokes, he was behind the crease. So it was a good mix and match of how he strategized the whole innings. And there's the fruit. I feel like he has done very well, and to get India to this stage, he holds the torchlight as a captain and as a batsman to get India to a good total. And with him is Ravindra Jadeja, who is also playing very well. He has taken full advantage of the old ball and played with the soft balls, and rotated the strike quite well. He's an excellent runner as well, Ravindra Jadeja. But I don't know if Hardik Pandya would agree with that. But we'll talk about Ravindra Jadeja as a batter later on if he goes on to score a big score. So we'll go on and talk about the bowling innings of England, and we're going to talk about the different criterias. We've talked about Chris Wokes already, so we're going to talk about Ben Stokes. We're going to talk about Shoaib Bashir. We have talked about Josh Tongue as well. So we are going to sum it up for the day of how they have went around with the bowling as well. Vedant, what do you think went wrong for England? Do you feel like anything went wrong for them, or this was a good day for them as a
No,
bowling
it
lineup?
was although your sessions put it as a one towards India. I mean, okay, but I feel it is very evenly balanced because the wicket, although it had something for the bowlers, but it is a batter-friendly wicket. So when England come out, I mean, they will also most likely bat really well. So as far as what went wrong, maybe the Josh Tongue and Ben Stokes, when they were bowling a few loose deliveries, which released the pressure that is there. But again, that can happen. I mean, it is or it is very difficult practically that all four of your pacers will be in the same rhythm all throughout the innings.
Mm.
So then that can happen, and it is a very normal thing. And as far with what is the good thing with Chris Wokes is that look, he had a very average with respect to his bowling last game, but this game he came off his own, so he was backed as a player, and which is what I liked about England this game, that they backed their team. And as far as what has gone wrong, it is very early to say. Maybe with day two, day three, we'll have a better picture.
Yeah. But to rectify what you have said, India have won 3 sessions, but that doesn't mean that they have the advantage in match. I have
Yes,
mentioned in
yes,
the slide
yes,
itself that
yes.
I've
The
mentioned in the slide
slides
itself that
don't
the
show that.
advantage.
The
It
I
says
mean,
that it's 3 sessions for India, but I've mentioned in the advantage section that you can't say who has
yeah,
an
the
advantage
slide,
till
yeah, okay, I
both
didn't see
innings are
that
played
part.
for now.
I might,
Uh-huh.
I might have
I've
missed.
mentioned that
Yeah, I
even
might
though
have.
India has won 3 sessions,
Yes,
but
but
India has won 3 sessions.
the slides,
Mhm.
it's very difficult for a pie chart to show how the session went.
Yeah. Cricket is more of an emotional game as well, of how
Yes.
Emotional game,
psychologically
and it
one
is
team is in.
and if a team wins, I mean, with a pie chart, you have to give the session to a particular team. But with
Mm.
which margin have they won the session, or
Yeah, that doesn't tell
how
them.
have they dominated the session? We don't know. I mean, in the last game, the when India was batting. England was batting. I remember there was one session where England scored 138 or 140 runs in one session and they lost 5 wickets. But the thing was, and you gave that session to India, rightly so. But those
No, that was
140 runs,
shared. That was shared.
but that 140 runs was scored by the lower order at compare
Mhm.
it to
Yes,
India's lower
exactly.
order. So I mean, on paper it might be shared or India one, but England were dominant in that because it was a lower order which added that many runs, which India did not, and
Yeah.
that is where we lost our last game.
Mhm. And but we can't really say who has the advantage in this test match until both innings are played. That's why the advantage column will still be empty till both innings are played, or the half of the second innings is played. That we will then know who has the advantage of the match.
And it
Maybe
will be
around in
very
day three.
interesting now how our lower order performs in this game because we
Yep.
are right now 310 for 5. Now, whether this goes to 400, 450, or 350, I mean, that is
Yes.
going to be a
Yeah.
match deciding thing. So, first,
I
That
completely agree with Vedant
so
here.
first session
The
of day two will
yes,
be very important to a very important session for India, especially. And with
yes.
the new ball also
I
now.
want to mention one thing. I want to mention one thing. Today I felt a difference between the first match and this match that in the first match we saw in the first innings that three batsmen scored hundreds. KL Rahul scored a 42, and other batsmen were gone for single digits, and even the tail got wiped off easily in single
yeah.
digits. But in this test match, at least there was a difference that the batsmen who were unable to convert their innings at least scored 30, 25, and Jadeja is on 41 not out. Two bad scores of Rahul and who was the other one? I forgot who was the
Nitish
other
Kumar
one.
Reddy. Reddy.
Your
Reddy.
addition
Nitish
to the
Kumar Reddy,
team.
yes. I know, but yes, so there were two bad scores and other contributed with a start 25, 30,
Uh,
41. So I hope that even the tail contributes at least 15, 20 runs per batsman like that. Something good happens with the tail because that's what made the difference in the last match. If there are 60, 70 more extra runs, we could have made some pressure on England batsmen.
We could have had a
So
good
that
yep.
is
once
the
inning
thing.
lead. That is what you're trying to say.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm. And quite interestingly, so in flat wickets, Taylor, the contribution of all batsmen count because at the end of the day, both are playing in flat tracks, and edge batsmen is also expected to get a bit flatter as well around in day two. Then on day three and day four, spin will come into play where there's a lot more rough, and Bashir and the spinners of India may come into play where they take wickets as well. So a lot of interesting parts to talk about in day two and day three. But now we'll talk about Ben Stokes. Proneet, I'm just going to give you a brief introduction of how Ben Stokes has a golden arm. Why do you think Ben Stokes has a golden arm, and how has he succeeded in always taking wickets of partnerships that are building?
There is just one word that is experience. Ben Stokes has been playing Test cricket for over 10 years now, so he has got that experience. And even in the past 4, 5, sorry, not 4, 5, but 2, 3 years since he became the captain with responsibility on his shoulders, he has performed better for England. We have seen this. Captain Ben
Mhm.
Stokes has been, before he got the injury which prevented him from bowling much in Test cricket. So even before that, he was breaking partnership. Right now, he's breaking partnership. So Ben Stokes has got that line and length, that bowling strength in him. He's like a, if we rate him as a 8 out of 10 in batting, we have to rate him at least a 7 to 8 out of 10 in bowling as well because he's that good with the ball. Sometimes his bowling is underrated, but I feel his bowling is he's not the worst bowler in this English bowling lineup. That is for sure. He has that. I
Which
feel it's that energy that he brings in with the ball. A lot of things.
But
We cannot
sorry,
speak about a
Proneet,
lot of things
to
actually.
cut you off,
Quality.
but I mean, Agni, your question was with respect to the golden arm. I mean, I think with some players they just have that. I mean, Shardul Thakur has that. He gets deliveries of wickets of
not back.
Kedar Jadhav had that when he used to play.
Kedar
So
Jadhav,
it
Uh,
is.
yes,
I
I
mean,
was thinking
with some
about it.
players it happens. I mean,
loved Kedar Jadhav.
Kedar Jadhav also with his delivery.
Yeah, I loved Kedar Jadhav
Yeah,
with
yeah.
how he took wickets
Yeah,
in odd
exactly. So
situations.
with
Yes.
some players, they just have that. Now it is very difficult to explain why. We can go about we'll rate
Yeah,
him this, we'll rate him that, but
but there is a
I think
reason.
the Jaiswal delivery was a very poor ball. It was not a good delivery.
But he still got a
Yes.
wicket. But still got a
Yeah,
wicket.
there's a lot of luck percentage as well.
I mean, it's
Uh-huh.
just they have something which is
I
we
don't
can't
think it's
explain.
luck, but it's like just kind of what kind of delivery he was. It's unexplained, of course,
We can't
but
explain.
that's why
Yes.
Ben Stokes is one of the best all-rounders in the world, and he's in the Fab Four of best all-rounders. I've seen a reel the other day where there were the Fab Four of all-rounders. I'm gonna not talk about that right now, but he is in there, and he deservingly is in there. So we're going to talk. We're going to slowly wrap it out by Bashir's gambit. We're going to talk briefly about him. Bashir has been pelted badly by Rishabh Pant and Jaiswal both in the India series and here at England. But Bashir finally takes care of Rishabh Pant this innings. So for Rishabh Pant, Proneet, do you feel like if you got a six this ball, you would have been applauding, or would you have been said it's stupid? It's not a shot to play here, and he hold it out. What do you think? Is it a something? Is it something that Rishabh Pant has, or is it just it's just there? I feel like something
No,
that it happens with Rishabh Pant that time
first
to
of
time.
all, you cannot put a tag to Rishabh Pant. He's not a batsman. He's a batsman who increases the PP of both fans of both sides. So he's that kind of a batter. You love to watch him bat. But the thing I felt was that even in the first test, that it is a good thing, but somehow I think it is affecting Rishabh Pant a bit, that he's he is being over defensive against Shoaib Bashir. He can
Well,
easily put out many bad
we
balls for
can't
sixes,
Yeah,
we
we
can't
can't
really
say
talk
that
about
but
about it.
what.
still,
I think we should just
Yeah, that
end it by saying Rishabh Pant is Rishabh Pant and Shoaib Bashir got lucky to get
Shoaib
a.
Bashir. So it's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's just on Rishabh Pant's blood to see if he wants to hit Bashir for tonkers or he wants to just give some respect to him after belting him so much. But coming to the close of this video, I'm going to talk about what's to come for day two. India still is going to come into question for day two and how in England's top order play without Bumrah being there. So it's going to be a tough ask for Indian bowlers to turn up. Akashdeep is going to have a bowl. Prasidh Krishna is to bowl better. Mohammad Siraj needs to turn up as the leading bowler of the side today for tomorrow, and it's going to be interesting to see what's happening for tomorrow. So a lot of things to look forward to for tomorrow. We'll be back again criticizing Gambhir's ideology, but till then,
I will do that.
it's
Pronit, I'll take the mental
I
space.
mean,
Don't worry.
add me there with Vedant.
yeah,
We'll both
it's
do
very
it.
contradictory
Agni will
that
try to
Indian
calm us
jersey.
down.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
The Indian jersey panelists today have a lot to say about Gambhir, but we'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow as well. But do join our Instagram tomorrow, today itself, right
Tomorrow.
now. Click the click it right now. I'm sorry. Click it right now. Click our follow button and follow us for getting updates, for more fun stuff, for more content. Join our Instagram and join us tomorrow for day two, for the review of day two. Till then, it's bye bye and good night from us.